I do want to thank you for joining us. Um, Let me see something here. And by the way, I gotta let you know that the show is brought to you by us, a couple of sponsors, okay? And thank you everybody for joining us. Okay, here we go. At any rate, the show is sponsored by intellectualpowers.net. You go there where you order your health supplements, and when you click on the QR code, you just type in the word numbers, and you will get a discount. Also, um, uh, Nicholas Brooklyn will be celebrating 50 years, or is celebrating 50 years this year, and we will be honoring it. And I thank her for supporting me until the end of the year. So I thank her very, very much for that. She's going to be having a couple of things coming up, such as in Peru uh, in November the 9th, which is in about a couple of weeks, actually. It's a pop up shop. The admission is free, so you don't have to worry. Also, King Simon will be on. In fact, he is sponsoring the show, but he will be on this particular Wednesday with Sister Kafunya and be talking about the event coming up. And of course, his children's book that you see there in the background, but this is it here. And I think he's going to make that book available too. Also, Manifest on Purpose with Miss Kimberly. That's KIMBALEY .com. I should say her YouTube channel is Kimberly KIMBALEY _. But to get to her website so you can listen to her podcast, she has weekly wisdom. She has astronumerology revealed. The sister's just stretching out. So that's where you can go to see her. And I thank her very, very much for that. And before I bring on my very distinguished guest, let me do the forecast for today. It is Monday. It is the 21st of October. The sun is still in the sign of Libra. Tomorrow, it'll be in a state of flux because for some people, it'll be still Libra. For maybe later on in the evening, it will be Scorpio. But I tell you, when the show resumes on Wednesday the 23rd, it'll definitely be in the sign of Scorpio. The moon went into Cancer about 10 minutes ago at 6:50 p.m., which is why you see why they need to know what time you were born so they can tell where your moon is. It is a 9 universal day, a 9 universal month, excuse me, a 3 universal week, a 3 universal day. So if you're a Pisces or Sagittarius, such as my distinguished guest, or you're born on the 3rd, 12th, 21st, or 30th of the month, well, without question, this is your time. All righty. So before I bring her on, we had Portia Cooper. She was talking about wealth consciousness, wealth building, also about cryptocurrency and things of that nature. Then last week we had Dr. Yana B. Woodhouse, one of my favorites. And in fact, my guest tuned in, and I noticed that in the past when I looked at my guest's past show, Dr. Woodhouse tuned into her show. So evidently they switched back and forth. And so now I have Jackie Berrios, who is a financial professional, licensed insurance agent, and also a retirement specialist. So without further ado, Jackie, how you doing, lady?
I am well, Lloyd. How are you?
I am doing fine. I'm doing fine. Thank you. You know, it's interesting. People think you don't, you just have some money in the bank, a little money in your pocket, a little money under the mattress, but there are other things. And you're a financial specialist dealing in life insurance and retirement and whatnot.
Yes.
Don't people realize that one day they got to go to the other side of that rainbow known as the world of retirement?
Yes, and they're rudely awakened when they get to the other side too, if they haven't done any planning. So that's where I come in. I try and get folks early as it relates to their retirement planning. I even talk to my 30-year-old daughter, like, these are things that you need to do now to not be in those pitfalls. And me included, I'm a late bloomer. So if I wasn't in this industry, I too would be like, oh boy.
And what's interesting, your daughter at 30 could get probably $1 million policy for like $40 a month.
Hmm.
Where if you wait until you in the senior citizens age and try to get it, it'll probably cost you about $400 or $500 a month. So it's obviously it makes a difference. Why is it that people tend to be kind of like hesitant about life insurance or got this attitude, oh, I don't need it, thinking they're going to live forever. And yet, most powerful corporations have insurance policies on their companies.
That's right. That's right. So I'll use my daughter for example, and just it's just a matter of the biggest thing is education and financial literacy. She recently married, purchased a beautiful home. And I said, okay, if something were to happen to either of you tomorrow, and if you wanted to live in the same home, because we all like to live nice,
Hmm.
what's your backup plan? What would happen? So we talked about doing a $500,000 life insurance policy. It's term and it's a 30-year term and it's going to cover her for the term of her mortgage. So that
That's
the
smart.
a home purchase is one of the biggest things that you're going to purchase. So we need to cover that asset. And then also she has life insurance in place whole life because if something would have happened to her spouse or something would have happened to her, that you what you've built with two incomes, you now have to continue it with one. So what planning have you put in place if something were to happen to either one of those incomes? You need to put something in place. So it's just so important we just take a look at our financial people picture and put a plan in place. Or at least talk about it. Have people think, "Oh, I don't want to leave someone rich," or "I don't think I need that much." Well, yes, you do. You have inflation that's factored into all of that. You also have just the daily cost of living, and we like nice things, and I want to live how I what lifestyle I've currently built for myself.
Well, I heard at one point that with the Rockefellers, they set it up where the insurances, as long as they're generations of Rockefellers, they
Mhm.
don't have to worry. Everything seems to be revolved in the insurance thing. And yet there's magic in it once we know how to do it.
Oh yeah. So once you can create your own retirement plan. You can create your legacy. There's a number of different things that you can do by just adding someone's name to the line of beneficiary. It's a binding contract. You keep the money within the family. So um, there's two ways you can have a beneficiary set up on your life insurance policy. There's per capita and per stirpes. So I just recently changed my policy to per stirpes. And what does that
Who's
mean?
he?
So that means if by chance if someone if my daughter were to have children, uh, then if something were to happen to her, it goes to her heirs, the next line in succession.
Okay. And what is that called?
Per stirpes,
Okay.
STIRPES.
So if a person has a family members, children, grandchildren, and they wish to leave it beyond, especially if they don't have an immediate like spouse or something of that nature, I take it,
Hmm.
they can then pass it on to their heirs. So is that what the Rockefellers have done?
That's what they've
Because
done.
they don't have to
That's
work a
exactly.
day in their life. If you're
No.
born into the Rockefeller dynasty, you're set.
Hmm. That's right. That's what they've done. And I did that for my daughter. I set her up. So if when we're blessed with grandchildren, the next succession is the grandkids.
So that's
And
like the never.
I don't even have to have their names right now.
So that's like the never-ending story if you do it correctly. Then
That's right. So they have their legacy, their gift is already coming to them ahead of time. But
what?
that's just one of the many things that I do, Lloyd. I want to talk to you about something else that is like in our face.
Well,
But you
good.
go ahead.
I'm listen. That's exactly why you're here to raise the viewers' consciousness. All right, what do we have going?
So right now, more important than anything right now, you're going to see TV commercials, your newspaper, in the mail, radio. It is annual enrollment for Medicare, Medicare open enrollment. So
What
one
does
of the
that
things
mean?
that means that if you're new to Medicare or if you're enrolling on Medicare for the very first time, I'm sorry, not first time. This is for people who are already on Medicare. So if you have a Medicare Advantage plan or if you have a supplement and you have a prescription program, this is the time now to get your annual checkup. This is for people to take a look at what they currently have in place and do that side by side comparison. Most of the health providers have already sent out what is called an annual notice of change. to their subscribers, letting them know this is what 24 looks like, and these are the changes for 2025. And there are some big changes.
Now, when
So
you say annual checkup, you don't mean going to your doctor for an
no,
annual
we're
checkup.
talking about your health plan. Just like you
Okay.
have when you're with your HR department when you were working and they had a benefits coordinator. I am your benefits coordinator in retirement, right? And my job is to sit down and educate you on the changes as it relates to Medicare. That's my job. And I lead with education first. I'm not if it when I sit down with a client and we're reviewing what they currently have in place, I educate them on what they have and if there are gaps in coverage, then I address those issues and point those things out to them. And then we do that side by side comparison. And one or two things happens. Either you stay on the plan that you're on and you've done a good job in putting yourself in a position of strength, or it's my job to say, okay, these are the areas that you need to make some adjustments. And now more so than ever, 2025, the Inflation Reduction Act has gone into place. Medicare, the Center for Medicare Services, it says, hey, for those people who are sick, who have chronic illnesses, we're going to put a cap on how much money that they spend out of pocket for their prescription drugs. And that cap is $2,000.
Hold up. So the Reduction Inflation Act is what again?
It helps people. So it's a couple different tiers to the act. The first thing that they did with this Inflation Reduction Act was reduce the cost of insulin. So if someone is taking insulin, there's a fixed cost of $35. So they made it very affordable
Because I
because
heard it used to be very expensive to get
yes,
insulin. Was that
yes,
true?
that is very true. Very true. Because people had to pay the cost of the insulin plus the deductible and all those things. And then it just made it out of reach.
How much would that
$300.
have been about? Can you give me a ballpark idea? Not that you
On
have
the
a lot of money.
average, I would say an average about anywhere from 150 to $300 for a pack of 5 pens.
And the pens last a week or is a day?
No,
We're talking about
it's
a
a
day,
month. It's a
a
month,
month.
depending upon yeah. Just this is just hypothetical. I don't want your audience to like
No,
throw
no,
my
no.
feet to the
That's
fire.
what I'm saying. We're
So
just doing
just
like
hypothetically, a
hypothetical.
pack of 5 pens that should last someone who's on insulin for a month,
So that's about
roughly.
$3,600 a year
Could be. So now
Yeah,
it's yeah. So $35 for one
or
box.
3,500. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay,
$35 for one box. So that inflation rate fixed the cost. So the next step was okay. Let's fix the cost of our prescription drugs. And for your viewers, they may have heard of the donut hole. Medicare does not have that anymore going into 2025. It
okay.
is a
What is a
fixed,
donut hole?
meaning that your cost of your prescriptions, once you reach your deductible, you've gotten into what they call catastrophic stage. And then you would be responsible for 95%, and then the plan would be responsible for 5% of the cost of the drugs. That now has gone away.
Okay.
Medicare is going to fix the cost, max out at $2,000. So for folks who are catastrophic or chronic illness, this is a win. I have clients who are taking eye drops that are anywhere from $200 to $300 for a small little ounce bottle like this
Are you
big.
serious?
Uh-huh. I have clients that are on heart medication or cancer. So, if you're really sick, this or taking multiple prescriptions, this is going to be a godsend for someone. Um,
And actually, so people think that you got to be kind of in the elderly stages, not understanding that diabetes and cancers and all these things affecting all age from
that's right. All
juvenile
age.
diabetes up
Hmm.
into senior citizens.
That's right. That's right.
So
So
please, viewers, please don't look at this. I hope as another boring. It is not boring.
Lauren,
Believe me.
no.
One day we will need some help. We will need
Hmm.
a hospital. We will need, but we just don't think of it in the moment until something
Hmm.
happens. That's them, but never me. But then
Hmm.
when it's me, the first thing we want to do is get all the help we can get our hands on. Why
That's
do we
right.
do that?
You know what, Lloyd? I just met with a client today. If you don't ask questions, you have to be your own health advocate or your advocate in life, just in general. And you have to have a lot of questions. And don't stop at the one answer. I just met a client today, and she did not know that there was a grant available for her inhaler.
Hold
Didn't
up.
even know.
And now, and especially in New York City with the pollution problem, there
Hmm.
is a grant now. If those need inhalers,
Hmm.
they can get it.
I'm not sure about New York State, but I just know particularly for this particular inhaler that this client is using, I found a grant for her because she could not afford the cost of the inhaler on her own because it was over $400 to get the one inhaler.
Well, I know it's got to have it in New York City. Now, I know you can't speak for that because you ain't in this state,
Hmm.
but with New York City and all this pollution and the breathing, I know they've
Hmm.
got to be a grant for New York City too. It's got to be with
Yeah,
millions of people just on Manhattan Island alone.
this grant is not state specific. They just need to find the manufacturer of the drug and then go to their seat and search if they have a prescription assistance program available. And there's an application, and you fill out the and I helped her fill out the application. I worked alongside with her primary care doctor. And next thing I know, she called me one day in tears and said, Jackie, it showed up in the mail. Thank you. I did not know. She was going to go without her prescription
Really?
had I not met. So I would tell all your viewing audience, it is so important that you sit down with a licensed, hear me folks, a licensed professional that will sit down and go over not just one plan with you, multiple plans with you, understand what your needs are, and work out a way that you can get a whole complete overview of your prescriptions, especially now going into 2025 is so important. I have saved people. I met with a client over the weekend, $900. And they were in the mindset, and this is where you have to change your mindset. You have to ask the questions, let someone review it with you, but don't be fixated on, well, that's the plan I've always had and I'm okay with my plan. No, that's not the mindset. You have, just like you shop for car insurance or a better rate for your cell phone bill or your cable bill, or drive to the nearest gas station that has the cheapest price,
Mm-hmm.
you got to do the same thing as it relates to your health. And I was able to save this gentleman $900. And he would have
That
stayed
make,
with the same plan because he's had it. I've always had it. This is what I've always done. And I was like, no. And
and
I
with
showed
that
him the,
900, it can go toward other bills or
that's
food
right.
or
That's
whatever,
right.
cell phones, things like that. Question.
Yes, sir.
So, can you explain to our viewers life insurance, term insurance,
Hmm.
other types of things that we take for granted? What is the
Sure.
difference and how can there be advantages or does it apply for a specific age group if that makes sense? This, and let me tell you, viewers, this is for your benefit because even if you're in the best of health, you might know somebody who is not in the best of health. So share this information with them, please.
So
Okay,
there's
Becky.
three types of insurance policies. There's term, and term is temporary. It goes under the same underwriting as if someone was a whole life policy because they're going to be asking health questions. The greater dollar amount that you would like, the more intense the health screening could be. And we're talking about urine, we're talking about blood work. It just really depends on the carrier and the things that they're, the dollar amount of the policy of coverage that you would like.
And this is
Um,
under term.
this is under term.
Okay.
And then there's whole life. Whole life is just what it means for your whole life. And the life expectancy range goes out to 121 years. And why is that? Because we're living longer. And then there's also indexed universal life, an IUL. And an IUL is a whole life policy.
Thank you. I was going to ask what is an
It is
IUL?
it
Thank
is
you.
a
Thank you.
whole
Thank
life
you.
policy. Um, and that policy, you can do so many things with that. An IUL, it gives you flexibility of premium. It allows you to pull a guaranteed income from it. Um, but you have to be in it for the long game. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. Um,
When you say the long game, you mean you got to be prepared to put in 20, 30 years? Is that what you're
I
saying?
would say at least 5 to 10. And here's why.
Okay, that's not bad.
Because you're building it based off the cash value and you're making that cash value work for you. And how that cash value is built is on the S&P 500, the performance of it. You benefit from the gains. So your policy is working. And as your policy is working and you're making your monthly premium, so much of your dollars go towards the cost of insurance, and the other dollars go back into your policy. So the so just like with anything, whether it be a term, a whole life, or an index universal life, two things that drive that is your health and your age. So you need to be, not to say in the best of health, but you need to be in good health to get an index universal life because those policies require what we call underwriting. I'm going to ask you some questions and I'm going to dig a little deep. And I need you to tell me the truth because it's going to come out.
Yeah, because I think there's a 2-year contestable clause if they
Yes,
find
it is.
out.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So it's so important that you tell the truth up front because we're going to find out. You know,
So you
um,
can't say I'm not a smoker, but you've been smoking a pack of cigarettes a day because they will find out.
now, yes, because we're taking your blood, we're taking your urine, we're pulling your health history. So if you've gone to your primary care doctor and it's noted in your file that you were a smoker, yes, it's going to come back up. You're a smoker.
Even
So
if a person stopped 30 years ago, that would still be a part of their
if they
filing
stopped
and
30
everything.
years, no, if they stopped 30 years ago, then that's fine because they remember if you're going to your primary care doctor, they're pulling labs. So I see in the comments, Lloyd, that your one of your policy, your they did just $1 million policy on themselves. So that's good. Congratulations, Tasha.
Wow, that's nice. That's nice.
Good. I'd be curious to know, Tasha, were you looking to, other than basic coverage, is that a term or is that a whole life policy? Just be curious if she answers that question.
Okay. Okay. This is interesting because let me tell you this.
Hmm.
When I was growing up as a kid, there would be a man that would come around every
Hmm.
week or every month
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
collect
Hmm.
insurance. I didn't understand it at first.
Yeah.
And
Well,
the
mhm.
relatives called it a death insurance policy. It wasn't for living. See, it wasn't projected in that way. It
Oh,
was
it's definitely.
like, okay, when you die, you need a certain amount to cover your funeral, you know,
Mhm.
and that's how it was looked at. Do you think that could be a spillover psychologically from generations passed on, while we,
I-
particularly in our community, look at insurance as, well, I ain't gonna die, and yes, we are gonna die. Okay, there's no question. Do you
Mhm.
think that might be a part of it? So we
It
don't do
can be that old school. I call it old school thinking. Yeah, it can
it.
be. But
Hmm.
now, with the beauty of the internet, there are so many different people as it relates to. I'm not a fan of TikTok. I'm a fan of TikTok, and it's giving great information, but they're giving different illustrations of how an IUL could be used. You could be your own bank, and in terms that you can be, but just remember, it's a life insurance policy first. It's not an investment vehicle.
Hold up.
So,
I heard this phrase before. You can be your own
own
bank.
bank.
What does that mean?
That means that you could pull the cash value from your policy and utilize it in any way that you want to. So typically when you're going to the bank, what is the bank asking for? Your work history, your credit history, all of those things. When you're borrowing from yourself, we're not asking for your work history or your credit history, or you're limited to how much and the interest rate that you're going to be charged to pay it all back. So that's what they mean by being your own backers. You've put into this IUL policy and you can add more money to it over time or over months or whatever you got to be very specific and look at your contract agreement of the policy that you're taking out. But can you add more into it? Yes, you can. Can you utilize that money once it's built up to a certain point to use in your discretion? Yes, you can.
But in order to do that, when you had to have that policy for at
Yes,
least
so
a
this is
period of time,
at minimum 10 years at minimum.
okay, to then become your own bank, but you can't just
Yes.
take out an
No,
insurance policy today and then 2 weeks from now you think you
no,
got your own bank. It doesn't
no,
work like that.
no, no, it doesn't
So
work
it's
like
almost
that.
like saying you got to put some skin in the game.
That's right. That's what I'm saying in the very beginning. I preface it. You got to be in it for the long game, not the short. You got to be in it for the long game. So
Now,
there are definitely vehicles out there. This is for the living. I always tell people that policy can be for the living because it's flexibility of premium. It's you can do a guaranteed income from it, but you got to be in it for the long game.
also, the earlier they start, the better. Would that be true?
Absolutely. I would encourage folks if you have a 1-year old, start now. You know how many people that I meet that are seniors that are heartbroken that they let their policy over time lapse for whatever the reason is. And I don't begrudge anyone for that because life happens. But you definitely want to start when you're early, and you definitely want to start when you're young, especially if you want to leave um, some a gift to your loved ones behind, and you want to leave a little something extra so that way you can button up the details. So it's more than just a funeral; it's all the things that you need to take care of after the funeral. You have to settle someone's estate, their taxes, if they owned a home. So if you there's a little bit left over, you need to really take a look at finalizing someone all of the details for someone's home. So
There's a
or
thing.
their
That's a
state.
thing called death taxes, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's coming. Uncle
One more
Sam is
time,
getting it.
right?
Uncle Sam is getting his in the beginning or the end. It doesn't matter. He's getting his, and you got to be prepared for that. So I tell clients, you want to try and leave a little bit extra, leave a little bit of a gift, but also you want to leave a little bit so people can handle the details. They got to button up to those details, because often, and you know this, and I'm sure your viewers know this too. What does money buy you? It buys you time and it buys you options. How many times have we made decisions when our backup was up against the wall? And if we had just a little bit more time, if we had a little bit more money or different options that were available to us, or if we were educated about those options, our decision making would be very different.
Question.
Yes.
You made a reference that a person would have life insurance and then stop paying. What happens? What?
It lapses. So you can do a surrender. So before it lapses, you could do what they call a surrender. And if there's any money paid into it, you would get that back in a check, maybe. Otherwise, you just lose your coverage.
But then again, when you renew, you got to renew now at the higher age, right?
Yes. So, today's price is not tomorrow's price. Remember that.
Huh, telling me try to get a
Yeah.
living. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's now this
Is your
person
will
here
vote?
says yes because I've been needing the life insurance info. Thank you. So a lot of people are responding to this, and I thank them
Oh,
very
yeah.
much. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Now, what is the best way to go about shopping for insurance? Now that you know there's term insurance, which means you just get a coverage for a temporary period. And I
Hmm.
like that strategy. If you got a house, that you get insurance in the amount just to cover the term of that house, whether it's 20-year mortgage, 30-year mortgage,
30-year
would that be
mortgage.
correct?
Mhm. Yeah, and you should do two times or three times. There's a formula, and when you sit down with a licensed professional, they'll put a plan in place based on your income and what your needs are. So we could do one time or two times or three times your salary or the cost of that good that you're insuring.
She answered your question, by the way, Tasha. She says it's a term but can be turned into a whole life. I
Hmm.
understand you can do that. How does that
Yes, you
work?
can. So after the term, so you get a notice from your
And
provider.
congratulations to Tasha. Bless you.
Yes. So you get a notice and they'll let you know that, okay, at the 5-year interval, at the 10-year interval, okay, your policy is coming up for renewal. And this is what the cost would be. So, um,
Now, would they do it at 23 or now that she's 33? Do they say, okay, you had it for 10 years, or does that make sense? Or do they kind of come in the middle?
they come in the middle. So if it's a 30-year term, so or 20-year term, depending on the term, they're going to come in the middle of the road. So probably at the 10-year interval. I would tell people who have term policies, please read your contract, making sure that it's not so there are some policies out there that are a 5-year renewable. So it'll renew automatically. And when it renews automatically, you could see a rate increase. If you can convert it from uh, term to whole, then what does that look like? Are you keeping the same face amount? So if it's $100,000, are you still keeping the face amount? Obviously, the rate is going to change, but what does that rate look like? Because now you remember you're 10 years older, and hopefully they're not going to be doing any underwriting and ask about your age, your height, or your weight, or if you're taking any medications. So all of those things are taken into consideration.
Now, this person here, East Claybrook, It says
Mhm.
great information. Thank you. Can you upgrade as the year passes, like 100,000 to
Mhm.
200K or
Mhm.
200K to 500K?
Yeah, you sure can. There's two things that would limit someone there when they do that upgrade. It's going to be the cost of coverage and your health. So if it's affordable for you, then great. Is how's your health? Are you taking any medications? How's your weight? What's your age look like? Because remember, you're upgrading coverage based on your age, height, and weight.
So, in other words, well, the height you can't change. The
No,
weight you can maybe do something about that.
that's right.
But evidently, the bottom line is your health.
Your
How
health.
well you take care of your health.
Health is wealth. They say it all the time, and it is such a cliche. I see it all the time, all the time, and even me included. Luckily, my policies were when I was younger, and I was considered a preferred because I was a little bit lighter in weight and a little bit younger. So, yeah, so I had a preferred rate. Now, not so much because I'm a little bit heavier. Um, my blood pressure hasn't been friendly with me lately. So,
Okay. But you're a
yeah,
great
so
cook, though. You're
thank
a
you.
great cook. I can testify
Thank you.
to that. You're a great
Yeah.
cook.
So those, so now if I were to get that same policy today, I know that I would be paying a couple $100s for that than what I
Now,
have in place now.
here's the answer, Tasha. The reason Tasha got this policy. She says, I got it for my daughter since something happened to me while she's in school.
That's
Because
right.
sending a child to school is a very expensive proposition.
Yeah.
You have people now in their 50s, 60s, even going on their 70s, still paying on their college loans.
And unfortunately, Lord, I'm going to be one of those people.
Are you
I,
serious, Jackie?
oh yeah.
Not to get in your business, but wow. Okay.
Yeah. Only because of I just wish that compounding interest would work in my favor, but it's not working in my favor. So that's, again, yesterday's prices and today's prices, that compounding interest. If we can get a handle, if our government can put a handle on that for us, and I'm not the only, I'm speaking to the choir, that would be amazing.
Now, Tasha has another follow-up question. It says, um, if you do a trust, do you have to pay taxes?
Yes, depending on the type of trust and what's in the trust. Yes, there will be
Okay.
but I would always tell someone, seek a professional. Get yourself a tax accountant, get yourself a certified financial planner. We have all those things. I work with a whole team of folks who are super smart and understand the tax laws and understand what goes into an estate or what your estate, and they will give you free consultation to talk about that. I think all folks should really take a look at their financial picture, especially as we end this calendar year and going into 2025. Take a look at your how you're set up. Even as something as so simple, when I meet with clients, I take them something that's very simple is an advanced healthcare directive, which is a living will. Because I said, how many times have you gone to the doctor and your doctor asks you, do you have a living will in place? Do you have advanced healthcare directive? And my clients say, they ask me all the time. I said, that's for a reason. You have to have it. So I
So
start
now
there.
there's another word you use, advanced care directive. Is that the word
Advanced
you use?
health care directive. It's a
Now, what
living
does
will.
that mean, please?
It means that it becomes your voice on paper. So that do not resuscitate. If you want a blood transfer, um, it becomes your voice on paper. It's a legal
Does that
binding
include
document.
organ transplant or non-organ transplant? Does that make sense? In other
Uh,
words, you donate your organs because
yes,
here in New
you would.
York City, they
Hmm.
have a little thing you can check off to donate your organs.
Hmm.
So this,
Hmm.
whatever you just referred to it as,
Hmm.
um,
Advanced
you,
healthcare directive, a living will.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
you can do that too if you want to.
Yeah, and you should keep and here, and I'm sure there in New York as well, in Philadelphia, if you take the document to your local state representative or your council person's office and you make an appointment, they have people on staff that are notaries and they will do it for you for free. You just need it
Interesting.
notarized and you need to put it on file with your primary care doctor. You need to have it on file with the person that you're going to designate that's going to be your next of kin so they can have it as well. and it becomes your voice on paper. Because
Now
God,
here, I'm so sorry. East Claybook talked about since you talked about that kind of thing on paper. He
mhm,
says, "Is your will affiliated with the life insurance company, or is that something else?"
it's something. Your will is separate. Your will is separate.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Um,
all should. We all should. You know what? People say, "Oh, I don't have much." I'm just like, you know what? Someone could walk into your home and be like, "I want the pen," and we could argue all day about this ink pen, something so intangible, but it may have some meaning to someone else. So I encourage everyone to have a put a will in place, and there are organizations that would do it at free or maybe at little cost, depending upon your financial circumstance.
how do they
Um,
go about doing that? What do they do? They gotta, like I know the ABA, American Bar Association,
mhm,
has lawyers in respective states where you can even ask a pro bono question, which means it
mhm,
doesn't cost you anything to ask the question like, "Do I need help?" or whatever the
mhm.
case is. They do
And
that.
they do that too. If you're a senior, whether it be you're a senior or someone like me, I have a will in place. But there are different websites where you could pay and you could download a basic form and you just kind of fill in the blanks. And you take it to someone and they ask, is this true? And you get it notarized and you put it on file. So that way, wills they serve a good purpose, and I love my mother. She was one of those people that did things in decent and in order, if that makes sense to the viewing audience out there. So what she did, she all my sister, my siblings and I, all we had to do was just execute the plan because she had a will in place. And it detailed out everything that she wanted. So there was no room for discussion. Well, mom said this, or we want, no, it's in writing, it's certified. Here you go. Here's the document. Follow and execute the document. And so that's what I love wills. That's what they're good for.
Well, I understand there's a thing called intestate, which means that in case somebody try to challenge the will, they
Mhm,
can't. There's a
mhm.
would that be correct? There's something like that? You
Yeah,
know how sometimes a family member will say, "Well, no, I'm supposed to have this," but if it's a particular will or the way it's laid out, they don't care whose mother be saying, "I can't." It's not happening.
no,
Would that be
it is
correct?
that is correct. It is a legal binding document. So if it's in there, it is in there. How do I ensure my investments are safe during the economic down like 2025?
Now, here's
Um,
one right here that says that's right. It says I've always had term life insurance from the time I was 23, started with 250K. Now, but now with family and a life, I'm at 1.2 million, but I have insurance on all my kids for about 3 months.
Great job. Mo Bless, great job.
All right, all right. I
Mhm.
got some very sophisticated viewers on this show, you know.
Yes, and congratulations to Mo Bless for doing some planning because he's thinking about his kids, not just himself. So my daughter would, if she would, if she was in the chat, she would tell you I made sure that she was secure at a very young age.
Well, we know how you roll, Jackie. Okay,
Yeah,
so
even before I got into this industry, because you know what my example was? All the heartburn and life lessons that I watched around me in my community, and for people not planning and not being prepared. And GoFundMe is not an option. T-shirts are not an option. Or fish fries are not the option. You have to put a plan in place, even if it's a small one.
now, Cheryl Lee says, "What are your thoughts on putting your insurance policy in your trust? Can you do that? It would appear you could, right?
I
Yes or
am
no?"
not a tax professional or financial planner. I think that I'm gonna default that question back to the professionals on that because I don't know what's all in your trust. You know,
Okay.
what's the value of your trust? So I'm not sure. I would say probably not because your life insurance is a binding contract. So whomever's names that are on the policy, then uh, those policies or those funds, those proceeds would go to the individual that's listed. And if I'm not mistaken, and don't hold me to this, you could be paying if you name the trust as the beneficiary, you're subject to taxes on that money.
Hold up. Normally, you don't get any. Normally,
So,
your health insurance proceeds are not taxed at all, as a rule, from
right,
what I understand. Is that correct?
right. So, life insurance is probate free, tax free, and it goes to the individual that's outlined as your beneficiary. But when you put it into a vehicle like a trust, that potentially could be subject to taxes. So I would default back going to, if you name the trust as the beneficiary, that trust could be possibly subject to taxes. So an inheritance tax. So why would you take something
That's
that is
interesting.
probate
That's
free, tax
interesting.
free,
And
and
put
put
it
it in
into a
a
situation.
vehicle that's taxed? Ah, but I'm not a certified financial planner. I'm on the road to be one. I'm like Dr. Yana. I want to
Well,
get
I
my
would
Series
say
60.
so far so good. So far so
Um,
good.
that is my next career move, is to become a certified financial planner.
Now,
But
Claybrook says, thank you. Yes, health is wealth. Almost 6 years, no cigarettes, 13 years, no weed. And they recently stopped drinking last year. So that puts them at better health than anything moving forward.
mhm,
Would that be correct?
yep, that would that would. You know what, Lloyd? Let's go back to the person that's how do I ensure my investments are safe? Um, well,
Hey, let
I
me see.
is this Florbert
What's the name?
down at the bottom is the last comment. Um,
Okay. Oh,
Shupa.
yes. Okay, I got it. I got it. Says, how do I ensure my investments are safe during economic downturns like coming 2025? What do they mean, you think? And what should they do, you think?
Well, history has proven that when we are in an election year, no matter what the outcome is, there's an influx in our economy. So I would encourage your person to take a look at their investments and make sure that they're safe. And when I say safe, meaning did you put your investments in a vehicle that doesn't matter what the influx of the economy up or down, that they, it stays level, that they do not, they benefit from the gains, not the downturn. So, and there are vehicles that they can put their investments in.
Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
I know you do life insurance, but does as a life insurance professional like yourself,
Mhm.
do they also consider this thing that seems to be on people's minds now, precious metals, cryptocurrency? Does that make sense, or that doesn't fall within that area?
Hmm. It does. I would just say those are additional investment vehicles that you can have as part of your portfolio if you're accumulating wealth for yourself. It's not necessarily in an insurance product
What
per
is your
se.
definition of a portfolio? Because I keep hearing this portfolio. Does it mean a little bit here and a little bit there and everywhere?
Yeah, so your portfolio could be some life insurance. So, for example, when I left corporate America, I had a 401k. So I moved my 401k to an indexed annuity, right? So that's going to be part of my retirement. It's one of the vehicles that I put in far as my retirement planning, right? Because I know that Social Security is not going to be enough. I need to have a little bit more. So your portfolio could be some life insurance. It could be what you've done in your savings and your checking, whether it be a high yield savings or a high yield checking account. It could be some annuities. It's what your mix is going to be, and that you're going to have. And the few items that I just rattled off also have beneficiaries attached to them too, as well. So if something were to happen to me, my young lady gets a gift.
You got a beautiful daughter too. I met her. In
Thank you.
fact, I attended the wedding.
Yes. So she gets a gift. So those are the types of things that we want to take a look at in terms of our planning. Like I own a home, so that's part of my portfolio. Home ownership is one of the biggest things that we can purchase. So, and then I have some fun stuff like some jewelry and a fur or two.
You
So,
know, all you women have fun stuff, as you call it.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
we have some fun stuff. So, those things are all bundled in. So, you know what, Lloyd, I just want to go back just for a little bit and just
Please
remind the
do.
folks that's on the Zoom here tonight that this is Medicare annual open enrollment. So if you have a loved one that is on Medicare now until December the 7th, it is so important that you sit down with a licensed professional to review your prescription drug plan or your Medicare Advantage plan. Do that side by side comparison to what you have in place to what's coming up for 2025. Copays are changing. Some of the benefits, what I call the cherries, that over the counter, that food card, all of those things are changing coming into 2025. And the last thing you want to be is to have a rude awakening of, I didn't know, they didn't tell me. You got to read that annual notice of change and look at that side by
Yeah,
side.
but people don't like to read though, Jackie.
I know. That's what keeps me employed because I sit down and I take my clients to school and I take them line by line and we look at I said, okay, so what's changed? What kind of do you have any procedures coming up? How much are you paying at the pharmacy? What are you paying for your specialist? Let's take a look at that. If I can save you some money, because folks go into bankruptcy in retirement because they're not planning, they're not looking, and their out of pocket costs could be exorbitant. The
Can
example I
you repeat that again? That that
yeah,
seniors go into bankruptcy because of what?
because they, for whatever reason, they have a life event. Even now today, the average person, if you have one major life event, um, you could go into bankruptcy. So, you're stressed financially. So it's so important, in terms of your health, to take a look at that side by side comparison and sit down with someone and go over that change. The government's put in a great thing. They've capped the the cost of the prescription drugs at $2,000. So that was just announced for this open enrollment period. I will say congratulations to those folks who are receiving an income because the Center for Medicare Services and Social Security just announced that there's going to be a 2.5% increase into people's Social Security income checks come January. So, they're taking a look at this cost of living and they realize that inflation and they got to keep up. So, you know, it's
I
out.
I have a question. I mean, a question from Johnny Johnson. He says, great guest. He says, how do generational wealth, please explain the pros and cons of equity in a home usage. Does that make sense?
Um, Equity in a home. You could leverage that equity or, what you paid for it when I take my home, for example, what I paid for it when I purchased it in 2017 and what it is valued at today, there's a significant increase. I could either leave that equity there and I could either take a HELOC if I wanted to, a home. I'm not a real estate agent, but I could use that money towards home improvements or I could use it to buy other real estate. I could leverage that money. Or I could just let it stay where it is and continue to grow. And then when I make my next move, or if I should sell it, I benefit from the proceeds.
I
I'm
have,
a dollar more richer than I was in 2017 when I purchased it.
I have a question. I had a client recently that told me her mom didn't say anything, but her mom is a senior citizen. And there was something where they will appeal to people that you can take out something against your home alone. And whatever it is now, she's paying a price because she's about to lose her home. So in other words, I've seen like something like that. You can borrow against your home
Mhm.
or the cost. I'm not a homeowner, so I'm probably using the wrong term. But the point is, you can borrow against something in your home, and then, but whatever it is, this woman is in trouble. I know that. Does that any of that make sense?
She, not knowing all the details, maybe they took out a HELOC, the equity line. They leveraging uh, what they have in
They
their
said that
equity.
they said that they do this a lot to seniors, so people that's got their homes a long time.
Oh,
Well,
okay. So,
you
if
know what I'm
they're doing
talking
a C,
about?
yes, it's called a reverse mortgage.
That's it. That's
It's a
exactly what it
reverse
is.
mortgage.
Thank you.
Yes, it's
Now,
a
what is
reverse mortgage.
explain can you explain the reverse mortgage and the advantages or disadvantages? Because obviously this woman my client's mother is in a serious disadvantage.
Mm. Yeah, yes, your person said it's a reverse mortgage. Yes, it is
Thank
a
you.
reverse mortgage.
Thank
So
you. Thank you.
that's when they're taking the equity and they're drawing and they're getting a monthly income back for uh, the equity that's into the home. And they're paying, instead of you paying the mortgage company, they're now paying you. I
So how
wouldn't,
did she get it? How did the client's mother get in trouble?
because now when they go to sell the home, they're going to be at a negative. It's like you're going to be upside down, as they say.
So it's really not a good move then, based upon
No,
what you're saying.
mm-mm, no, mm-mm. They're going to be upside down. So whatever's going to be, instead of it and them walking away with a check, they're going to be owing more money.
Would that be
Because
a deceptive practice? I'm not trying to. I'm not a bank
no,
or whatever.
you need to. Again, this goes back to when you're up against the wall and you're making a decision, a financial decision, because you're not educated. You got to look at the pros and cons. Now, whatever their circumstance was as to why they needed that money versus, the long game. Like, what does that mean in the end? So, and then now this person doesn't have a place to live because they've been receiving more than what the value is of the property. Yeah,
And
so
and
this, yeah, so your person is saying here that you should never take out more than what you need. It's actually, yeah, it's a second mortgage. It is. You got to be careful. Yeah, because the
wow.
value. So yeah, it's not a good thing at all. Um, so yeah. So as a, I know we're getting close to time, Lloyd. So I'll just say this as
Oh, and
a
by the
funny.
way, can you
Yes, sir.
also let people know, because we didn't have time to put information on the banner,
Yeah.
but
That's
I have
fine.
one of the best moderators in the world on Mondays and Wednesdays. So can you say what it is? How can people get in touch with you
So,
so that can be typed in and put on the comment section for our viewers, please? And to
sure.
Vonda Moss, yes, thank you very much. It is reverse mortgage. You can tell I don't own a home.
Yeah.
Uh, but and while so would you? Oh, so what are you doing? You putting it in the? You posting it
Um,
yourself?
I could. Let me see. Oh, I got to connect to YouTube. I don't want to do all that. So, my name is Jacqueline Berrios. I am a
Berrios.
Berrios.
I
Yes.
love that last name. Good.
Thank you. I am a financial professional, a licensed insurance agent, and a retirement specialist. So I help folks with their Medicare, life insurance, short term care, long term care, things that we didn't even scratch the surface on this evening. So if my number is 267 566 2025. I am
You got to
licensed
repeat
in
it again. Excuse me,
area
please.
code 267 566 2025.
Do you have an email or a
Yes,
website?
it is my first name, Jacqueline dot Barrios at bankers, BANKERS life.com.
Repeat that again. The email.
Jacqueline dot Barrios at bankerslife.com. And my number is 267 566 2025. I am
Okay.
licensed in multiple states. Um, I'm licensed and appointed with all of the major Medicare Advantage um, providers. And most importantly, I'm here to answer your questions. I want to put our people, or just people in general, in a position of strength. So, and how do I do that? Um, Education, I lead with that first, and then we can just go from there. I wanted to make sure that you understand what your rights and entitlements are, and then you make a decision. Either you're going to stay where you are, or you're going to make an informed decision. But it all starts with education first.
Well, let me say this. In the 5 minutes that we got left, I said, should I or should I not? But I got to do this. The My guest that y'all are viewing, folks. Let me
Mhm.
take this off because I want undivided princess on. Jackie, you know I got to do
Oh, you're
this.
too sweet, Lloyd. Thank you.
No, it's too true. The woman that I have on is the woman that made me being on Live with Lloyd possible. A couple of things that have happened. One day I was a guest in her home. She set me at the table, and I remember she put this microphone and just said, Lord, because actually she set up my website. She did so the image that you see at the top right corner,
Mhm.
she came to New York to do a photo shoot. Spent the entire day doing a photo shoot. She says, "What's your favorite color?" This, that, and the other. So all of that happened. So as a result, we developed this friendship, not knowing about what 10 or 15 years before we met at an outdoor picnic or party with Jason.
That's right.
And so I'm sitting in her house, and she put the microphone and says, "You should do this." And I tried it, and I made a promise that I would. And on July of that, later that month, I started the Live with Lloyd show. So
That's
the Live with Lloyd show came into existence because of this woman right here next to me. Secondly, she allowed me to spend an entire week at her home to record my Numbers in You audiobook.
right.
Got up every morning, and I, listen, Jackie, nothing personal. She knows how to cook. Okay, the woman knows how to cook. People will get up in that house just to have her breakfast and then go back to bed. I mean, it was just like that. So,
Thank you.
Jackie, thank you so much. You have been so nice, and you're number two. A
Yes,
lot
I'm
of the
number
people
two.
who help me are twos,
Hmm.
which is interesting. But Jackie Berrios, this is the woman that made this show possible that you'll see every Monday and Wednesday. She says, "Why not, Lloyd?" I says, "I don't need to. I mean, who want to see me?" But
Yes. So thank you, Jazz, for putting my information up. Again, my name is Jacqueline Berrios. I am a financial professional, licensed insurance agent, and retirement
and a fine
specialist.
human being and a great
Thank you.
cook.
And the folks that are on the feed, don't worry about I can help you. So what is that, Mama? Who's that? Strawberry 1955 or Mama Love? No worries. Just
Yeah, she
contact
says, "Are
me.
you licensed in Texas? What about Connecticut too?"
I am not. However, I can still get you assistance that you need, and we can, don't no worries. Don't worry about that. My job is here to educate you, answer your questions, and put you in the right direction. Most importantly, a position of strength. So don't forget, folks. If you have anyone we're in Medicare annual open enrollment. I am here to help up until December the 7th. Let's get it in. Let's talk about it. Let's
You're
talk
based
about.
in the King of Prussia in Pennsylvania.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. My office is in King of Prussia, but just like you and I are talking virtually, I can sit and have a conversation with any of your guests um, virtually on Zoom. We can set up a time to talk, most importantly. And the insurance agency that I work for, that I'm a captive agent with, we have offices in Texas and Connecticut. So, um, my license is far and wide. And if I'm not, I'm going to put you in a position of strength to put you in front of the people that can get you what you need. So,
Well, I tell you this, I know what you did for me. I bear witness. This
yeah.
show has now entered its third year.
Hmm.
And you were so nice, Jackie. You didn't push me. You just, Lord, you can do this.
Yeah.
That's God bless you. That's all I
Isn't
can.
it amazing what other people can see that we can't see in ourselves?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, Lloyd, I encourage you to push me back. Okay.
You got it. That's why you're on this show. You coming back too. Okay.
Okay.
So
All
I
right.
want to thank everybody very, very much. And Jackie, love you much. Thank you so much for all you've done for me. I
Oh,
really
you're
appreciate
welcome.
this. Okay.
Hmm.
So I'll probably have you back before your birthday's in December. You're a Sagittarius two
Hmm.
person. So probably I'll have you back around your birthday time so you can give people a review of what they need to do as they go into 2025. Maybe I should have you back just before December 7th so people can be reminded
Yeah, that
that,
is Medicare annual open enrollment. You got to make a decision, folks. You got to sit in front of a financial professional to help guide you. I'd be happy to, Lloyd. I got,
well, here's what we
and there were
do.
things that we didn't even talk about tonight as
Well,
it
good.
relates to
So
Medicare.
we'll have you back toward the tail end of November if you don't mind.
Sure.
So you can remind people, you can talk about all the other goodies that we overlooked with me so busy, asked you so many questions
That's
and
okay.
whatnot, and to make sure that people are well aware of taking advantage of the new enrollment expansions and things like that, because they're going to be all modifications. So when they send you this thick book that people don't read, okay, some of that's in there, I would imagine, right? All they got to do is just take the time to read it.
Yes, and I would tell some folks it is page 83, which talks about this cap on the prescription drugs. And then there's page 36 that talks about the things that Medicare does not cover. And I go over that because there are shortfalls in everything. So
And
Let's.
what are those pages again?
It is
83 and
page.
36?
Let me just hold on, Lloyd.
Yes, you got it.
Hold on. I want to. Oh, so for the viewing audience, if you
Oh
have this,
yeah. Yeah, I've seen that. Yep,
did,
yep, 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 yep,
okay, it's a
yep.
little blurry on the camera. So it is page. And this is so important. And for the folks who have loved ones, it is page 55. Excuse me,
Now
page
what's on page
55.
55?
It tells you all the things that Medicare does not cover under parts A and B.
Do not cover. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay.
And the reason why that's so important because there are shortfalls in coverage, and I can help you put a plan in place to cover those shortfalls, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the second page that is so important is page 83. And that is new, and it talks about the maximum out of pocket limits on this Medicare prescription payment plan. This is the first time that Medicare has put in a payment plan. So they prorate the cost over a 12-month period. So when you go to the pharmacy and pick up your, if you're enrolled in the plan and you go to the pharmacy to pick up your prescription drugs, you don't pay anything out of pocket. You paid it already up front, and it's prorated. It makes it more affordable and accessible to folks.
Yeah, because normally I heard you gotta then you see the doctor, and then you gotta pay like $10 or $15 out of pocket.
That's your copay to see your primary or your specialist. But we're talking about going to the pharmacy to get your prescriptions. Oftentimes, you'll see people that say that they had to choose between getting groceries or getting their medications. So,
Can you do me a favor on your
mm,
end is make a note of what you did not discuss?
sure,
So I am not sidetracked when I have you back on in November.
no worries. We covered some of the bullet points, but I wanted to cover some more
I want to
because it's
cover all of
important.
them. I
All
think it's
right.
very important for our viewers that we touch all the bases. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Hmm. And I
Jackie.
love the fact that your audience did a quick Google search for me.
Oh no,
So
our audience don't play.
I know. I was like, look at that. He
We don't play.
Oh, wait a minute. Various types of yep, yes. Thank whomever Floribert is, thank you. Because yes, those are all the things I can assist with. Insurance policies, Medicare, long-term care, retirement income solutions. Yeah. There are things that we didn't even talk about today. We only scratched the surface. So that's the beauty of being in my career. I love helping people.
I do
I love
too.
it.
I help in my way, you help in your way. It's a win-win
Yes.
situation.
Yes, it is.
Jackie,
Thank you,
thank
Lloyd.
you so
I
much.
am
Thank you.
I am honored. Thank you so much.
Look who's talking. This wouldn't have happened without you. My
Yeah.
audiobook wouldn't have happened without you. Because you made your home available for me for an entire week. I got up early, went to the studio, recorded my book, and wow. Thank you. I'm
You know
very
what?
honored. And you did not have to do that.
I'm attribute it all to my upbringing. Her name is Marie, and she made sure that I knew how to be hospitable to folks.
I had my
So
own room.
yes,
I had
and
food
you
in the
still do.
morning.
It's still here. It's still here. It is still
Thank you,
here.
Jackie. Thank you. You're the best. And you have a
Oh, you're
blessed
welcome.
day and love you
Thank
much.
you,
I
Lloyd.
mean it sincerely. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. All
Thank you
right.
to your viewers too. I appreciate
Yes.
the opportunity as always.
Anytime. And see, what happens is, so when y'all look at me, you got to understand there's so many other people that made all of this possible. But you got to help each other. This is how it works. This wouldn't have happened without Jackie Berrios. This show would have not been in existence. I sat there. I said I promised her I would come up with a title. I'd come up with a date, and to whatever motivated her, it motivated me to keep my word. And here it is 3 years later with all the responses that I get. And so for all of my audience, my comment people, I can't thank y'all enough for all the things y'all happen. I says, I hope I'm not boring you. I'm trying not to bore you, but I want to make it well rounded. Yes, I do numbers and birthdays and stuff like that, but numbers are very important too when it comes to retirement, finances, of way things are happening. These are the things you need to know. So before I close, I do want to have mentioned my sponsors and thank them, and also especially Jackie Barrios. So please go to intellectualpowers.net to get your supplements. Click on the QR code, and you will get um, from them a 10% discount. You just type in the code numbers, and you get the discount. To Nicholas Brooklyn, 50 years of business. And they have a couple of things happening. First of all, King Simon will be there this coming Sunday, October the 27th, and I will be there to join him too. and these will be his two guests that he's going to have on, Tamika Royal and Amira Hassan. And then the following week, there will be a pop-up shop with Brother In Karu, who does precious metals. These will be the things he has. And by the way, he will make his books available, his new children's book. So Simon, save me a book, please. Thank you. Autograph it. Thank you. Also, the Miss Manifest on Purpose. Miss Kimberly, you go to KIMBALEY.com. She is also having on the very first opening day a visionary board mastery. It is a one-day workshop. It's going to be awesome. I plan to be in attendance myself. Also, I got to give props to my moderator on Monday, Jackie Levine. And the book is also available on audio. Knocking on the Inside is also available. I think I still do believe it on Amazon. For my projects next year, 2025, I'm already into that. I'm going to have a workshop. It's going to be on February the 25th. So you just go to, well, when you see it there, let me see. You'll see it there. Where is it? It's Numbers in You LLC Numbers in You podcast. I got a couple of emails. It's numberyupodcast@gmail.com. That's where you send your interest to. Also, I am going to be putting out a palmistry class in April. I love palms. I always, between numerology, my first love, astrology, my second love, and palmistry is my third. And then I'll start the year off with a power series, the power of this, the power of relationships, the power of financial success, the power of precious joy. I've got a whole power series that's going to go from January all the way through the end of 2025. By the way, so I'm now working on the newsletter for November, but October is still available. It is absolutely free. This image you see is what Jackie Berrios came to New York just to have me fitted. So all these images you see, I thank her. For me, I was minding my business, but she says, no, you got to do this and that. And that's the thing I listened to. It was very important. But if you don't want to get the newsletter, which is absolutely free, you can hear the audio version on YouTube. Okay. And that is done by Miss Kimberly and myself. So this was the October one, and November will be done soon. She also has another forecast called Weekly Wisdom and also Astronumerology Reveals. So she is really stretching out. So I want to thank everybody very much. Wednesday, King Simon and Sister Kafunya. Kafunya is my girl too. She is the crystal lady, and she's the one that make it possible for all the amazing events that goes on at Nicholas, Brooklyn, there at 1396 Fulton Street. Everybody, I want to thank you very much. And to this, hold on, to this beautiful lady still on standby.
Yes.
Jackie, you the best. Thank you,
Yes.
Jackie. Thank you. Thank you. That's all
And
I
tell
got.
your viewers, don't be shy. I'm here to help. Strawberry 1955, please reach out to me at 267-566-2025.
Oh,
Lloyd,
excuse
thank
me.
you
I didn't
again.
have my pen. Can you write that? Can you say that one more time again?
267-566-2025.
Just wanted to make sure they got it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And I'm
Okay.
here to help. Lloyd, thank you again for the opportunity. Thank you to your
Look
viewing
who's
audience for
talking.
the opportunity.
Look who's talking.
Very
Okay.
grateful.
Thank you. The feeling is mutual. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Everybody, all of you, really, really take good care of yourselves and have a blessed, blessed day. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. And I'll see you Wednesday. And for those of you who participated and asked questions, I can't thank you enough too. It was really, really nice. Thank you.